Well, hello everyone. You here to show you the Matthews art, educational story. Coloring right here is talking about is like for an educational story, and of course there could be many stories to be told about if we each were to be talking about so far is that for the story about from whenever we were in school, the things that we learned whenever we were in school, and then of course that the experience and then the memories that we may have, maybe the tools and the school supplies and stuff like that we used whenever we were in school. But he had talked to you about of course about the is like between this, like you could say, is the dream and then maybe the willingness for for what you always wanted to do, and maybe what you want to do whenever you were a kid and stuff. But the talking about the educational story about with the Mayan is that talking about the fact about is that that what I do, of course, on my YouTube page, of course, is talking about is that whenever I do my art colorings, is of course is showing everybody here as like my artistic talent, as you say, is what I usually do for whenever I make my do my my talented videos. It is, and of course one of those is talking about is that between reading a book or writing a book, or maybe reading or writing a story or whatever you call it, that a lot of times is that with most of us, if we most of us here know about read through the papers, is that we would read about stories and stuff like that in the papers, story articles, say in the paper, that a lot of times is that we read through the articles, and then a lot of people would probably say that really that when you don't you read through it, and then they want you to write a paper or whatever you call it, write maybe 2 or 3 paragraphs for whatever you read about. And then of course I was always pretty much, maybe not every time, but at a lot of times I was like that person to where I would read about maybe 8 or 9 paragraphs of the story and kind of just stare at the book or whatever you call it, and kind of go in a daze, and then the teacher would have you write a paper or 2 about what you read about, maybe about 3 or 4 paragraphs about what you read about, and a lot of times a lot of people would probably say, a lot of people here would probably think that that whatever it is, or whatever the story about it is, like a lot of times if they're not going to really include any pictures or whatever you call it, then more likely you could probably say that you don't even know exactly what it's talking about or whatever. But other than that, is talking about with my educational story is, of course, this we say is like a little journal, is like a little short paragraph journal right here, is talking about is what do I see myself doing in 5 years from now. Of course, I listed is driving a truck, and then along with going to college, and then along with getting a job as a carpenter and stuff like that. And then of course right here, as you see, is the motivation is like what to motivate you put for before your greatest effort, and then to work hard, and then to do my best. It's like my boss tells me what I did when I did a good job and stuff like that. But anyway, that's the type of stuff that I wrote whenever I was in school. Those were the type of things that I wrote whenever I was in school. And of course I don't have too much from whenever I was in grade school or whatever, but more likely that that it's like whatever I would write about, I think a lot from what I what I wanted to do. I don't know if it was anything really related to carpentry or whatever. But anyway, so far as the educational story is talking about the things that you always wanted to do, and then the things that maybe you do want to do later on in the future. Some things that you may want to do later on. And of course, where it comes up is that that a lot of people will probably say that that of course to get your mind on maybe something is, of course, is to draw yourself. You say on a blanket, piece of paper like this right here is like done by crayon. And you see right here is this like this right here is drawn from like a school picture right here. You see right here is a picture of me, and you say I most of my school pictures I would show is like me wearing glasses, but then of course on this coloring right here, it shows right here, it's like for Cowboy Jr. And I don't even know if that was taken at like a daycare center or if it was first or second grade or whatever. But it was a photo that was taken of me. And what I would probably say is that between the question to where it's like that with this photo right here, that of course that a lot of people will probably say that ask you that question is like, what do you want to be whenever you grow up? And then a lot of people will probably say that they want to play for the Rams, or they play for a football team, or they want to run the alley or something like that, or maybe they want to be a doctor or a dentist or whatever you call it. Maybe the invention of what you call the super hydraulic is a first aid kit or whatever you call it. But I can maybe name a lot of things that I always wanted to do whenever I was younger, and of course one of those talents is, so far as maybe voice talent, is you got right here is you got the microphone. It's like I've had about 3 or 4 sets of those, and but basically is that talking about is that the toy, the stuff that we have between a computer and a camcorder, or any other accessories besides school supplies or anything like that. Maybe a magnifying glass that glows in the dark or whatever you call it, or is like that has like what you call made out of the crystal clear, say plastic aluminum or something like that. That is something that's really made out of real firm plastic or something. Maybe something that lets you see. You say that the handwriting and maybe the 3-dimensional type character, or it's just something like that. But other than that, between the toys that you have and the toys that you don't have that you want, you finally get them. But then on the other hand too, is knowing about is for the educational story, is that whenever you buy stuff, that a lot of times that you may need it, for your education. It's like for if you were to go to any type of school, or as I say, is to do your homework, that a lot of times that they want to teach you how to use stuff. And I'm talking about the stuff maybe that it's a little bit harder than that. You say a number 2 pencil. Say a number 2 pencil does more than just point, where you can write stuff with it. But on the other hand too, is talking about is that if you wanted to say is that they wanted you to to maybe draw like a little portrait art of yourself, and then what do you see yourself? What do you remember from where you were, back those couple of years ago, or where do you see yourself maybe in the next couple of years from now? And of course, is that a lot of people probably say that start from a blank sheet of a blank piece of paper right here, and you probably say that hey, that I'm not going to get anywhere as if I'm just looking at myself, or whatever you call it, looking yourself in the mirror or something. But on the other hand too, you could probably say always the starting tool, of course, could always begin with, you say, is your favorite color. You got about 3, I got about 6 different colors, you say, of the color blue. And let's just say that go ahead and start out with blue. Is like you get yourself some ideas. If you want to do like a little sketch background right here, is to put like a little design right here. Is do like what I call is subject archive. Subject archive is for artistic talent. And a lot of people would probably think that whatever you wanted to do, whatever I wanted to do, if it was carpenter work or anything like that, or if it was anything related to medical research or whatever, that the one thing, of course, that really has not changed, in the past couple of years, you say, is artistic talent. And something that I always wanted to do, and something that I still like doing, and it just like that's the type of hobby that I guess you say I just kind of developed myself, is knowing about the artistic talent. And you see, you got that. You see, like a little mountain area right there, but you have it to where it's like start out with your favorite color, and I guess it don't have to be. We say that it can maybe be like a light blue or a dark blue, or maybe a light green or something like that. Start with your favorite color, and then if you want to, maybe just add a little bit of a color right here. It's like a color green right here. If you want to add like a little background right here, it's like you just to show to present your, you say your portrait art, a little bit more. So you add just a little bit of green right there. But other than that, is to go ahead and add a little bit of color right here, crayon. And then after that, and then see here, use a little bit of the green, and of course, see, it's like maybe not really a sunset, but it's like draw like a little mountain scene right here. And then if there was any type of a lake or whatever you call it, lake or any type of river flowing, but let's just say that this were like a location right here. It's like you got the mountain area right here. It's like near the sea or something like that. See here, go ahead and add just a little bit of detail right here for like the ground. It's like just like you use like a canyon scene, land scene right here, is to just to get your ideas for like a little ideas for if you were to just wanted to use the crayon and do like the side by side type motion with the crayon, is to get yourself some ideas. It's like put just a little bit of tone. You say coloring right here is for the detail for what you want to do with the picture. And see here, it's like you got like a little some land right here, and if you want to draw like a lake in the front right there, it's like to have it to where that you maybe just put a little bit of blue in the front right there. And then of course it's like see here, add a little bit of green, and then along with the just a little bit of green right here. See a little bit of green right here. It's like if it would be like in far distance. It is. And then so far as the near distance, if you want to see here, go ahead and add a little bit like a little purple right here. Something in near distance. Draw some grass right here. But I remember that when I used to put together puzzles, and I remember that a lot of times is that you look at the puzzle pieces, and the different puzzle pieces I would see about it's like for art is like if it were a tree or anything like that to look like it would go together. But other than that, with all the other art kits I bought from over the years, a lot of times I remember working with a couple of them that you would match them by the numbers, and then maybe you would match them by the shape or whatever you call design. But other than that, it's like for the educational story as it goes by. I'm sure that there's many stories I can maybe tell you about for what I learned in school. Other than the fact about that, it's like that maybe pictures. Story books that don't have no pictures or whatever you call it, more likely they could probably say that they pretty much have to be drawn, I guess, in order to be able to be added in there or something like that. But of course, one hobby, of course, that I that I've had ever since I was about I would say since I was about 8 years old, 6, 7, 8, something like that, of course, was artistic talent. And a lot of people would probably say that yeah, Mike, you may have gotten out of the habit, out of the hobby. So it kind of looks like fog. Fog is like be covering the mountains or whatever. But anyway, but you may have gotten out of the hobby whenever you were young. You say got into it and then got out of it, got into it and got out of it. But on the other hand too, that between flying a helicopter and then maybe getting a job as a carpenter, stuff like that, is that more likely that of course my dream job is like my future career would probably be is like whatever people is like anything that came to your mind is like anything that comes to your mind, more likely that anything creative that maybe somebody can maybe use for like something related to a new product that could be invented or anything like that. New product, it could be something related to it's like going into artistic details, But I would probably say that I don't